Good morning. It is Friday, the last day of May 2019. My Second Universe, number 40. Baldr Hildrson makes a friend. Friday writer update. Writing tip starting with know when to be quiet. Slipping into talking about this last weekend's game session where there was some fantastic role playing and how that came to be, and how kind of like the writing tip, know when to be quiet as the game master. And story time, gonna tap a bit of storytelling I did for my son that's related to my game setting and my writing setting. Baldr Hildrson makes a friend and travels to Ringworld. Knowing when to be quiet in writing, in storytelling, in collaborative storytelling, in comedic timing, those pauses, knowing when you've said enough, allow some space for the consumer, for the one immersed, to think, to fill in those gaps, to have a movie they are watching be a bit blurry, have the resolution not be perfect. Allow space, allow quiet, allow pauses for the other's mind to catch up, to fill in the gaps, to explore. You lead. You are dancing with the minds of your readers, of your consumers, of your watchers, of your listeners. You are leading. You are not deciding everything. You are suggesting. And you're hoping that they don't stomp on your feet, that they don't trip and fall. You're hoping that you can take them, lead them, and you can together experience the whole of the dance to the tune in a way that is accepted and appreciated by all. And I do find it quite easy to critique other people, other writings. I fall prey to, practice what I preach. I fall prey to what I critique other people doing, for sure, and get called out for it. Being too wordy, having descriptions that are unnecessary, especially if I get caught up in the rhythm of the words when I'm writing opening scenes, and I make it a little too poetic, and it ends up being purple language. It's unnecessary, and it detracts from the simplicity that can be perfect for immersion, for connecting readers to the main character, their character arc, the setting, and the plot arc. The most basic hooks and requirements to get a reader into and through the early parts of a story. So I, as a game master this weekend for the virtual tabletop role-playing game set in the setting of my novels, drawing on the Roll20 platform, drawing on D&D 5th edition a bit for the mechanics, but heavily modified and homebrewed. The characters that are high enough level, they're powerful enough, they got enough resources, not just as individuals, but in their little empire building. The challenges that I am facilitating are not like a video game. I'm not just having a higher level monster come and face them. They need to seek out their challenges a bit, and also clean house and face off against each other, and as they've developed independently a bit and maybe aren't as compatible as they used to be, and which is which is what happened over the weekend. Coming back from Memorial Day on Monday evening, there was some realization between the characters, and the players knew this already. So it was such great role playing, and there was times as a game master when I didn't quite trust, and I should have spoke less, but I mostly caught myself and just let it play out in a Shakespearean way. Shakespearean in the sense, like Shakespeare's work presented humanity in archetypal and just like fundamental ways, just like divided humanity and interactions, relationships. So that's what I mean. This was like a fundamental human interaction. It was just a true interaction of trust and distrust and parrying and thrusting, and it happens to be between two players that are dating each other in real life, playing characters that are manipulating each other in this way. And it was like it's like therapy, like couples therapy. And then there was a third player. There's third and fourth player. One player had to pull out because of some in real life stuff. Had to pull out early, and then a third player was so it became really this dynamic between three players and their characters, having the Don Quixote character, the paladin, the one who is pure and everything has to kind of make sense, and honesty is a huge part of his character in the face of the duplicitous actions and that were revealed. It was great, and I'm sure if I was the most talented writer in the world, I would not capture it perfectly, but I will certainly attempt. And it was like watching a really good season on Netflix. Like I had just condensed a good season of a TV show that I discovered on Netflix, an experience. It gave me kind of that kind of muse. So I'm grateful. Like it was just it was everything I wanted in game mastering and collaborative storytelling in my setting. And I'm very grateful to my players for the experience. It was fun, and my brain's still popping with like, ooh, like I'm not a big soap opera guy as a guy, but my head's like, okay, well, in what does this mean for the future of the relationships between these characters? What are their choices? And I'm trying to stay out of it. I'm trying not to be like, oh, and I slipped up a little bit talking with the player later because I thought he knew something but he didn't. But he's such a good role player. I think it'll be fine from the characters' perspectives. So for me, I just got to sit back and prod and play a bit, but let them continue the good work they're doing, and hope that I can just keep it going as long as possible and continue to provide the resources for them to tell their own story now, which is really, it's becoming their story in a lot of ways. And I got to respect that. And there's plenty of space. It's the same setting, but there's plenty of space between their story and my novels and whatnot. So, which is on purpose. I didn't want to be a battle of wheels between like the novels that I have already written and that must happen this way. There's plenty of space. Characters are unlikely to interact. It'll be interesting if they do change something in one of my novels. What will I do? How will I react? Will I just go in and edit my novel? That's where I'm kind of leaning. Like, why not? I'm self-published author. That'd be kind of funny. Or definitely be funny. I need to get them ahead of the chronology. I need to get them ahead in time for my novels. So that would solve it. Yeah, story time. Baldr Hildrson makes a friend and travels to Ring World. I'm running short on time, so I'll just summarize that. My son, I've been telling this story about a character called CK for a long time with my son for years. And he finally has his own child within the story, Pele, which is named by my son. And been talking about, Pele's now been the main character. And I decided to add Baldr as a friend to Pele. And Baldr is the son of Hildur and Ishkur, the two main characters for the last book that I finished, and then the book that I'm working on right now. The main character for the book I'm working on right now is Hildur. She is pregnant with the character that will be known as Baldr. And Baldr is a god, a living god, and just overpowered in many ways, but hasn't developed socially and hasn't developed martially because of his circumstances. He's been very isolated. So he is allowed by Hildur to interact with Pele, who has his own godly qualities, but Pele was raised on Ringworld, which essentially doesn't have technology or magic, doesn't allow it, to a very small degree allows it. And Pele takes Baldr to Ringworld, and Baldr experiences for the first time mortality, like what it would have been like to be raised normally. And it's just it's an interesting thing to tell this tale of Pele taking Baldr under his wing and kind of taking care of him and being this big brother to him in this way, and telling this to my son as my son is falling asleep. And it's freestyle storytelling, but it was fun, and I think I'll keep doing it. It's a character, like one of the hardest things doing this week after week with my son over the years is keeping track of all the characters I come up with, especially on the spot. So it's good for me to draw upon a character that is set in or characters set in my fictions already, rather than coming up with something new. So he seemed to take well to that, and I will continue, I think, with the adventures of Pele and Baldr on Ringworld. It's called Ringworld because of a road that wraps around the whole world, and there's these creatures that occupy. There's two creatures. One occupies the northern hemisphere. One occupies the southern hemisphere. So it's kind of like a living planet divided in half, and they interact through this road. It's whole like background of the story, but I know there are other things called Ringworld, but this is why it's called Ringworld. It just came out in the freestyle storytelling with my son. I'm not trying to claim someone else's title, but it's Ringworld because of a road and the thin habitable space around the road. I will end with the riddle. A nurse has more than one, unless ordered by Amazon. Watch the news, a fountain for youth, never marching one by one. And I'll include it under the video. So, good luck. Goodbye.